So today I'm talking about a Ford with the P0455 code, what it is, and how you go about fixing it. And so what is the Ford P0455 code? Well, it's an evaporative emission control system leak detected gross leak. And what does this mean? Well, modern vehicles have what's called an Evap system that basically takes all the gas vapors from the gas tank and then feeds them back into the engine to get burnt off so they don't escape into the atmosphere. This is for emissions. And the onboard computer is seeing a problem inside the system, mainly a leak, and so it's going to have to be troubleshooted to know why. And some possible causes, well, it could be a bad gas cap or an inlet. This includes the new Fords with no gas cap. There could be an evap leak, could be in the wiring, could be the vent valve, could be the charcoal canister, could be the purge valve, and possibly the fuel tank pressure sensor. And many Fords, when they get a P0455 code, also will get a check fuel inlet message on the dashboard. It'll vary, it'll depend on the year and the model and things like this, but this is a very common message when you get a P0455 code. And so the basics of what's going on inside the evap system is you're going to have the gas vapors, they're going to leave the gas tank, they're going to go through a hose, and they're going to go over to what's called a vapor charcoal canister. And this is basically like storage for the gas vapors and things like this. There's also going to be what's called a vent valve, and the onboard computer uses that to test the system and things like this. And then a hose is going to leave the charcoal canister, it's going to go up to the top of the engine, and at the top of the engine is going to be what's called a purge valve. And basically the purge valve opens when the engine's running so the gas vapors can go into the engine to get burnt off, and then it closes when the engine's not running so they don't escape. And so the first thing to do when you get this message is to go check the gas cap, because the gas cap is a part of the evap system and it needs a seal in order for it to work properly. So go check it out, be sure it's not cracked or damaged or anything like that, and that it's sealing up. And this includes the new easy fuel systems with no gas cap. You can check out the inlet down inside because this is where it seals, and if any dirt or grime or anything gets around right in here, then it can hold it open and it doesn't seal properly. There's some different methods for how you go about cleaning it up. Some people will spray like WD-40 right around here and wipe it off, try to get in there with a screwdriver and a rag or something like that. Other people will use compressed air. But the thing to go and check out is to see if this inlet is slightly open and causing an issue, or if you just got a bad gas cap, if it's cracked or not sealing properly, because a bad gas cap or fuel inlet can cause issues. If the gas cap or fuel inlet look good, then very likely there's a leak somewhere inside of the system. Either one of these components has gone bad, like this vent valve is stuck open, or one of these hoses is cracked somewhere going around through the whole system. And so if you took it to a mechanic, what they would do is they'd feed smoke into the evap system, and then they'd watch, and then wherever they see smoke come out, then they know where the leak's at, and they'd be able to fix it. This is a very common method. There's some low-cost smoke machines on like Amazon or eBay. I'll put a link down below in the description if you need to check one out. There's also some YouTube videos on how you can make these up yourself, like DIY smoke machines for like $5, $10. And using a smoke machine is a good method to see if there's any leaks going on. But the next thing to do is to go around all these hoses and everything and see if you can't spot any leaks or any cracks or anything like that. The charcoal canister and the vent valve is going to be located up and underneath the vehicle by the gas tank somewhere. It could vary a little bit on its exact location, but it'll be close by the gas tank somewhere up and underneath the vehicle. And the vent valve can be separate sometimes, but it's usually contained inside of the charcoal canister. And the vent valve does cause leaks. If it gets stuck open, then the onboard computer can't tell it to close when it goes to test the system. And so if it does get stuck open, then it could cause a leak, so it's going to cause problems. And there's different ways you go about testing the vent valve. If you have a good OBD2 scan tool, quite often there's an option inside of there where you can enable it and disable it, and you can hear it click inside of there. It's just a solenoid with a valve that opens and closes. Also, the charcoal canister might be old or leaking or damaged or something like that, or one of these hoses connected could be leaking, so that's something to watch out for. The next component to check out is going to be the purge valve, and this is going to be located inside the engine compartment somewhere. It's going to vary. It's going to depend on the year and the model of the Ford and things like this, but the purge valve is located up inside the engine compartment somewhere, and it'll have two ports going to it. One port will be going back to the charcoal canister, one port will be going into the engine, and there'll be a wiring connection to it. Sometimes the bottom port could be bolted directly onto the engine and things like this, so like I said, it could vary a little bit. But the next thing to go and check out is going to be this purge valve, and be sure that it's working properly and it's not leaking or anything like this. I made a video on how you go about testing these purge valves. I'll put a link down below if you need to check that out. And so if you've gone through and you checked out everything and you can't find any leaks, you tested these components and things like this, and you still can't solve this problem, then there's also a fuel tank pressure sensor, and this is what reports back to the onboard computer what's going on inside the system. And so if that fuel tank pressure sensor fails, then there might not be a problem inside the system, but the onboard computer thinks there is, since that sensor is giving it bad data. So the next thing to go and check is going to be the fuel tank pressure sensor. Again, it can be located a little bit differently. It's really going to depend on the year and the model and things like that. For example, here's a 2003 Ford F-150, and the fuel tank pressure sensor is right on top of the gas tank. You have to drop the gas tank to get to it. Here's another example of a 2011 F-350, and the fuel tank pressure sensor is right on the fuel line near the fuel pump. But if you checked everything else out and it's all good, then the next thing to go and check is going to be that fuel tank pressure sensor. And so that's basically it. I just wanted to give a basic overview of how you go about fixing a Ford with the P0455 code. If you have anything to add, please comment down below. If you have any questions, ask me and I'll try to answer them. If this video helps you, please click like, please click subscribe, and have a good day.